White Rocket Entertainment podcast number 950. The transfer portal exodus continues as the college football playoffs begin. And Auburn basketball plays another top team away from home to predictable results. We'll talk about it. The AU Wishbone is next. From the Christmassy part of Southern Illinois and the Christmassy part of Eastern Virginia, it's the AU Wishbone podcast. John, how are you this morning?
I'm well, Van. How are you?
Good. We are doing a special early Sunday edition because of reasons that I'll tell you in just a minute. But that means our show is coming out Sunday night. All right, for those that are just trying to figure out how to see the show, we are going up live right now on YouTube here Sunday morning, 9 o'clock-ish. And the audio version, as always, will post in the evening, but I'm going to post it tonight, Sunday night, rather than Monday night. So if you're hearing this, you've already found it, and I'm wasting my time. But anyway, we're going to go to the basketball game. It's pretty cool. Illinois and Missouri are playing in the big dome in St. Louis. So that'll be kind of neat. My daughter obviously is thinking about going to Illinois. She's waiting to hear back from them. They're really slow to respond. But so this is kind of a neat opportunity to see both teams that are further away from us play closer to us. So we're going to do that tomorrow night. What are you up to these days as we near the holidays?
Celebrating holiday festivities. Big going out to a nice family dinner this evening, and kids are going to be here. We're going to celebrate over the next few days. So looking forward to it.
Very good. Yeah. All right. So normally we are up Monday nights around 8:15ish Central Time on AU Wishbone TV for those that have been listening to the show and didn't know if they want to check out the YouTube version. All right. Before we do anything else, of course, it's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right now. And it's kind of a weird time to be thinking about being an Auburn fan right now because of stuff we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say, not a great week as an Auburn fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arch rival in the playoff wins game, big names in transfer portal departure potentially.
Yeah.
Lose a big basketball game. So I'm going to say I'm like a 4.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot to be super excited about, but there's the one thing, and I guess I'll broach this topic now, and maybe I don't remember if it was in the show notes or not. It just occurred to me that the word on the streets is that the Auburn NIL efforts are going in a different direction than they've been going previously. In other words, and have you heard this, or do you know what I'm talking?
And we're going to talk about it.
It's in the agenda. All right, I couldn't remember if it was in our show. All right, we'll get to it. All right, so stay tuned because that's coming up. We're going to talk about what exactly is the Golesh administration doing differently from the Freeze administration in terms of retention and bringing in new players.
I was going to say nothing that the listeners and patrons like more than listening to us discuss numbers on a spreadsheet.
I'm sure they'll line up for that. That's exciting. All right. Well, in fact, now that I scroll down a little bit, that's the very first thing on our agenda. So let's just segue right on into it. How about? Let's just do it.
Let's go.
All right. Well, let me throw out what I'm understanding, and then you set us all straight. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that Freeze paid a lot of upfront money. Here's a bunch of cash. Come play for Auburn. And that worked as well as it worked. I mean, we got some really good players, but apparently the Golesh regime is more like incentive based, which is interestingly similar to his contract, right? Where, here's a base amount of money and then you'll get even more if you have a good season. Now, that didn't work out too well for Ricky Williams when the Saints signed him to
but that was dumb.
That was a whole other thing. But let me throw one other thing out there and I'll hand it over to you. Somebody posted on Twitter, they said so you get a lot of, I want $750,000. Well, we're willing to give you 250,000. Well, then I'm going into the portal. Goes into portal. Nobody offers more than 150,000, but has burned bridges, can't come back, loses out on Auburn's 250,000, goes somewhere else for 150,000. All right.
Yes, and I would say in that, Auburn offers set amount, whatever it is. People on internet, or players' buddies or agent or whoever go, oh, I've talked to some people. You can definitely get more than that, and that encourages them to go in the portal. On the other side, I would say, and Auburn is doing this too, so I'm not saying that other schools are evil and Auburn is not. School contacts players directly. It says, if you go in the portal, here's what we'll do. We really want you. We like you. We like your style of play. We're willing to go in this range for you. And that is 100% happening to Auburn's players, and Auburn is doing it to other teams' players today. I think the other thing,
do it to us, I want them to do it to them too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm glad.
do unto others. Yes.
I don't want to unilaterally disarm. I don't want to be an unarmed opponent in this knife fight.
No. Again, if we're going to be poached, I want to be the poacher too. So that's my view of it. I think the other thing is we have to step back and look at the big picture of where Auburn is in terms of the roster and what happened over the last 2 years to get to this place. And I think what actually is the anomaly of a weird offseason is last year's offseason. Last year's offseason, did we lose anybody important? No.
I don't think so. No.
Why not? Because Freeze and company overpaid, as you're saying, up front to keep those players. They took money out of what we were going to spend on recruiting and other things and spend it on roster retention because they had to, because we were losing and there wasn't an incentive like, hey, this team's going to compete for the national title, whatever, and to stay. So they had to pay more to keep last year's roster, and we didn't lose a bunch of people, but that came into this year then with a roster that was basically overpaid. And so their market correction is coming now.
I'm just imagining Golesh he goes into the office the first day and he's like, all right, let's see the books here. Let's get out the spreadsheet and we're paying the backup long snapper $8 million a year. What the crap?
Amen. And I think there are some players, and we're going to discuss a good example of this in a minute with the names of the roster, who were highly recruited players who the previous coaching regime had to fight hard to get, who haven't actually done anything, but who's, they had attached a value because that guy was a high, 4 or 5 star recruit. And therefore we had to have them. And so their dollar valuation was somewhat tied to that effort and not to production on the field, which, as you discussed, the current numbers are more tied to that. And so the players it's not like the players who are, stars on the current roster are going to get lowballed with a base number and then have to match it. If you have produced, then you get the numbers. But if you haven't produced in real SEC games, then you're going to get some base level plus incentives, I think is where we're going, which is not crazy. And the other part of this, the theoretical piece, I think that matters is, if I take your Auburn hat off for a moment, okay? If I told you there was a college football team that had 5 losing seasons in a row, but and had changed coaches for the 3rd time in 5 or 6 years and had a top 15 roster in terms of player talent, you would say the vultures are going to come and pick that roster. That's how you would think about it. And so I think that is how some outside people look at Auburn right now. It is a roster with a lot of very talented players going through a coaching change, so they don't have the same ties that all of them don't to the coaches that are coaching them now as they did. And we're retrenching kind of the the market value of all the players. So I think those things go together to create a scenario where we are going to lose players that we, in ways that we did not before.
And it's unfortunate because you have to believe we need to have confidence. And I do believe that we're on our way up.
Yes.
And so it's weird to imagine that. I guess it really is money, because it's strange to imagine that players would hang around when it was obvious things weren't getting better. And then when it looks like things are getting better, now they're going to leave. That's just frustrating. I mean, I get it in a business sense, but in any other way, it's just make you want to bang your head on the wall.
But it's also from a player perspective, you're a guy that's been here the last 2 years. You have a year or two of college football left. You think Auburn's going to get better, but you have 5 years of evidence that, it's not magically going to get better overnight. So maybe I'm not going to blame somebody if they want to go play for a team they're 100% sure is going to be in the playoff next year.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the number one on that list we're worried about is that Derek Nix is trying to take Cam Coleman with him to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And that's disturbing.
Well, I think that's a good segue into our next topic here, is that Xavier Atkins is not going in the portal, and that he made a big announcement that he's not. We talked about this. He was the number one guy in defense that I wanted to keep. And I think Auburn was very intentional about saying, we want you to stay. We're taking care of you. And I'm sure they're 100% doing the same thing to Cam Coleman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. So Atkins is the guy that came out of high school like a 3-star or something, right? But has just turned out to be fantastic, like All-American.
He originally enrolled at LSU and then didn't do anything at LSU after 1 year, transferred to Auburn. But he was a guy that Durkin recruited out of high school and knew that he had this kind of ability and would work well in Durkin's defense. So Durkin was like, hey, I'm going to Auburn to be the DC, 2 years ago, come with me. And he did, and it's paid off for both of them.
Yeah. So, but we are losing Amaris Williams, apparently.
Yes.
Blockton is depressing.
Yeah, Malik Blockton is a gigantic one. When we talked about the defensive players, he was probably second on my list after Atkins in terms of guys I wanted to keep. He's a starting defensive tackle who's going to be a junior this year, who's a productive, good player. He's from right down the street, basically. His older half-brother is Kenneth Carter, who played at Auburn. And so he's, has ties to Auburn. So him leaving is tough. And I think everybody likes him. And he's a productive SEC defensive lineman, which we talk about all the time, is what you got to have.
Well, that sounds to me like somebody came along and said, we'll give you $80 bajillion. And Auburn's like, we can't pay you that much upfront money. That's just not feasible. We have a whole other team to take care of, right? So
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. That's the disturbing thing, is when you're trying to build a solid lineup top to bottom, and teams that are not doing well want to come in and just throw the whole bank at one of your players. 20 schools can each take one of your good players.
Yes.
Man. There's only one thing to do in this situation, John.
Smoke weed every day.
No, that's not
so
it.
I do think, it's the holidays, do whatever makes you happy. But I would say, just because these guys are saying they're going to go in the portal doesn't mean they are actually all going to go in the portal, or B, that they're all going to leave Auburn. Amaris Williams went in the portal last year and then came back.
Yeah.
And he matters
That's
because
true.
He matters because he's the guy who's going to be, moving in a Keldrick Fox spot. He's vacating, and he played a bunch this year and was productive. So he's a good, highly recruited edge rusher who has SEC experience. Those guys are valuable. On the other side, like Jamonta Waller is a guy who was a 4-star out of high school but hasn't played at all. Basically, he's been on the depth. He's been 4th or 5th on the edge rusher depth chart the whole time, and so he's the kind of guy that I'm not shocked is going in the portal, because he was a highly recruited guy out of college that everybody wanted in the SEC, and he has not gotten a chance. And I think he hasn't gotten a chance because he hasn't been better than the guys ahead of him. And then Jay Crawford's the other guy in the last week, probably our best cornerback the last 2 years. And that's a tough one too.
So you got to hope that either you've got depth that can step up, or you can go out and get somebody in the portal, right? I mean, and that's, by the way, we have our classic portal sound that we've had for a while now, but I have just added our new incoming good portal sound. Are you ready? So this is what you'll hear, hopefully, if I remember, when we get good players out of the portal coming up. I guess January 2nd is when that can start, right? We will hear, like, let's say, awesome new defensive lineman comes to Auburn. Do you recognize that?
I like it. Every 8-bit video game kind of sound there.
Yeah, that's Robotron.
Classic.
Robotron, baby. Yeah, classic. So I got it on there now. So we're ready. We're ready to start welcoming in new players whenever they want to start coming in.
And Van mentioned we'll have another podcast next Monday, the 29th, and then the transfer portal will open on January 2nd and stay open for a week or two. There is no second transfer portal at the end of the spring anymore. So this is it.
Wow.
So if you're going to, this is the other reason that a lot of players are putting their names in, because they want to at least consider it, because they know they can't transfer after spring practice anymore. So if you're going to get new players, this is the whole of it. And I think that matters in terms of what's happening. But I also think, it's going to be a very busy time, and we're going to be using that sound a lot. I was going to say
there's going to be a lot coming. It's going to be a revolving door on the front of the football complex.
And we have to talk about this. Like, we're old school Auburn fans, and the constant churn in the roster is tough, right? You want to have players and keep them and get attached to them for 4 years like you have in the past. And that's not how it is right this moment in college football. And it's frustrating, right? Like, I think if Cam Coleman leaves, Auburn fans are going to be depressed, and he's making plays elsewhere. And so I think that's a tough thing to see, but this is how it is right now. And I think in the long run, as you said, I think we have a new coaching staff, and I think we're going to be fine. The other reality is Auburn has money too, and there's a lot of players who want to play here, and we're going to go get them.
The other word on the street is that Cam Coleman wants more money, and he wants to know a little more about the quarterback situation.
Sure.
But to be fair, so does everybody, right? We all want to know the quarterback situation.
Well, I mean, again, that's like when you first say that, people are like, that's insane. He's a player. He can't demand that kind of stuff. Have you seen Auburn's quarterback the past 2 years? Like, I would, if I was a receiver on this team, I'd want that too.
Heck yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably going to be one of three people, right? There's Ashton Daniels,
TJ Finley, or Peyton Thorne, or who's the guy who was at Kentucky? No.
Yeah, right. Calzone. No, it's going to be Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels, or Brown from South Florida. Byron Brown. And I feel like you can't go wrong with any of those three. So what do you suppose he's wanting? What is Cam wanting?
I mean, I think he wants proven. I think he wants to know, right? Because I mean, there's a scenario where it's none of those guys, and it's 2 or 3 other guys from other teams, right? And so I think he wants to know before he makes a decision. This is the deal. I, suspect that Byron Brown is coming. I think that's probably going to happen, and so. He's a very productive quarterback, as we've discussed the last year. So I think that would influence things in a positive direction if that happened.
And at that point, you're just hoping to hold on to one of those other 2 guys.
Yeah.
And then honestly, if you lose the other, you might have to go out and get another quarterback to be your third quarterback.
Oh, you will. Yeah.
So you'd have, let's say you have Byron Brown, and then let's just say Deuce. Then you're going to have to go get Joe Smith from Coastal Carolina to come in and be your emergency quarterback.
Yeah. And we signed a guy out of high school that was a USF commit, but he's not ready to play in the SEC next year. So we're still going to have to do that you're talking about. We have to have a veteran quarterback who doesn't have the ego to expect to start in the SEC, but somebody who can come in and play if they had to.
The funny thing is that was what Ashton Daniels was.
That's right.
And yet, lo and behold, he ended up being the best quarterback on the roster by the end of the season, which says a lot about a lot of things. But, oh, man. I'm surprised. Well, what is the possibility that Nix would try to get Ashton Daniels to Alabama? Would he not? Would they think he's beneath them or something?
Probably.
Or?
I guess their current quarterback Simpson is draft eligible, so he could go to the NFL and they could be starting over a quarterback next year. But I suspect they signed like a top 5 quarterback out of high school last year. And I think people probably think he's the guy.
Yeah. All right. Anything else football related for now anyway, I guess that's your transfer portal update.
The only transfer portal thing we didn't talk about is there's a bit of Auburn back and forth about did retaining DJ Durkin make a difference with these players or not? And what is your gut feeling?
I mean, I'm sure it didn't hurt, but it really does seem like in the final analysis, this just comes down to how much are you going to pay me, and then maybe am I going to play or not? But really, how much are you going to pay me? So
I think
it's unfortunate.
I think probably there's some scheme coaching pieces where players know, like, okay, I know him. Like for Xavier Atkins, he knows how he's going to be used, right? If it was a completely different defensive coordinator, he'd be like, I don't like that fit for me. I'm going to go somewhere else, right? But he knows in DJ Durkin's scheme what he can do.
Yes,
it works. So I think that part matters.
That's true.
I don't think it was some kind of magic thing where Durkin comes back and all of the defensive recruits are like, great, we're going to stay.
Clearly not.
Yeah. I mean,
one more thing about it is, let's remember, as we've said before, this is not written in stone. Every one of them could still stay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much.
This is just, in fact, it could be a negotiating tactic. It could be, look, you better put another 0 on that check or I'm off to, wherever. So in other words, if you're an Auburn fan, it's not, well, and it's first, if you're an Auburn fan, don't get like Fred.
Oh, it's the worst one. This is a big one. You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
No. Take a breath. Take a pill. But as I pointed out last week, and I want to point out one more time, I'm probably pointing again next week, if you don't fully follow what's going on, you might well be tempted to say, well, Auburn keeps losing all these players and not gaining anybody. But I just want to remind everybody, nobody's actually left yet, and nobody's gone anywhere yet, so nobody's gained anybody yet. This is just people saying, when the door opens, I'm going out the door, maybe. Nobody's been allowed to come in the door yet. So don't start thinking Auburn is failing somehow because we haven't got anybody coming in, because it's not, the door's not open yet. So.
That's truth. And that and the thing I talked about the difference between last year and this year, I think matters. So
yeah. All right. So Auburn played Purdue yesterday afternoon in Indianapolis, and it was about what I kind of feared. They got some revenge. It is funny though that our 3 blowout losses, our fourth loss was by 1 point to Houston, but our 3 blowout losses, we lost by 30, and then 29, and then 28 last night. So I'm like, if we keep with this kind of improvement and we just play 27 more games, they will be ready to start beating these teams, man. But the really thing that hurt was the 2 players got injured, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, Auburn loses 88-60 in a game that was only close for the first couple of minutes, and then it just once again, our lack of size inside and our sometimes poor shot selection and our inability to shut down. We left the 3-point shooter open constantly, which was part of the plan, but it didn't work out too well.
I want to start there. Like,
all right.
This was the plan, and it was a good plan. Okay. People are going to say that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But the reality is Purdue has a bunch of excellent players on it. And our plan was to take away those players and make the bad players in their rotation shoot shots. A couple of those guys were like 20% 3-point shooters. Yeah. And we're like, great, leave them open, make them shoot. Don't let these All-Americans get the shots. Mm-hmm. And we did that. And those guys made the freaking baskets. So, and then on the other side, we had open 3-pointers and missed the baskets. That's the ball game. I mean, it's not Purdue's 8 million times better than us. Are they better than us? Yes. But they shot incredibly well, and we did not shoot well, and that is the ball game. And we could talk about these other things, and they really matter, but that is it. Like, that's about as well as Purdue can play. They're not going to shoot that well again in a lot of these other big games. And Auburn had guys open and did not make shots. And then these other things happened as the size piece really mattered, especially against a team as big as Purdue. We could not get shots inside against them. We had multiple times guys near the basket kind of scared to shoot because they didn't want to get it blocked.
That was frustrating as anything. Was that, and we couldn't get the shot to go down even when we did get a shot up like that.
And then we did get some decent shots at the basket. I mean, there was a play at the end of the game where Jovic basically has a layup and misses it. Like those kind of things. Several times during the game, we had good shots at the basket and could not get anything close.
And one of the things that's kind of been able to do, this is what I was really counting on from Keyshawn Hall, was he can attack the basket and draw fouls. Mm-hmm. And he really wasn't. I mean, he did a couple of times, but not like he's normally able to whenever he wants to.
No, and he could not draw fouls in this game. Like, they were not going to call it. And I think, and he was guarded by much bigger players, which was a problem for him.
Yeah. And then, so when he got hurt and Tahad got hurt, those are like our two top scorers, or at least over the course of the season they have been. The two we depend on the most for scoring. I mean, I know that Overton and some others have kind of come on, but that's really bad as you're getting ready to go into SEC play. You got to hope that, and it's always stepping on somebody's foot. We have just this incredible problem with stepping on somebody's foot. And was it Keyshawn Hall that got hurt again this time, or am I thinking about? I think
it was Murphy. It was Murphy.
Oh, it was Murphy. Yes. I'm thinking about Keyshawn Hall got hurt like this way like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And he got over it pretty quickly. Now Murphy and well, those are I would argue that Murphy, Hall, and Tahad are like the three most important players on the team right now.
They're 100%. We got to have Murphy because he's the most reliable big man we have offensively and defensively. And he wasn't incredibly effective in this game, but I think, Purdue has a lot of very talented guys up front. He was kind of trying to do it by himself. That was a challenge.
Yeah, like I said before, this team desperately needs another big guy, another big tall guy. God, they need that so bad. And they honestly need another. I mean, Keyshawn Hall is special, but they need another scorer.
Yeah, we need somebody besides Overton at shooting guard, small forward, who can make plays and who can defend and who can. And like you're saying, create offense. And I think Freeman has done that a little bit. He did a little bit in this game, but I think he has, he's coming up from a lower level and has challenges sometimes. We're playing these big time teams.
Yeah. So, I still feel like there are players on this roster that are going to get better and better, right? We're going to see good things out of, like I said, Overton's been getting better. There's another player. I can't think of his name.
Magwood, I think, did okay.
Magwood is good. Yeah. There's several that have great potential and apparently more opportunity now,
Well, so Sebastian Williams-Adams is right at the top of that list. He got in foul trouble early in this game, and that really disrupted the whole rotation.
So they have some personnel, but it's just a matter of playing together more. They just, And another thing I wanted to point out, I have this in here somewhere in the notes, but I was going to point out what we're talking about it is, I get so put out with seeing the Auburn fans on social media that are acting like Bruce had us in the Final Four every year. All right, we had 2 Final Four teams, and we had the 2022 team that was really, really good, but had deficiencies at certain positions and only made it to the second round. But I mean, those were the 3 really great Auburn teams under Bruce, but that was in 11 seasons. And so, you know, every time we would have a really good team, we would then have a year or two of kind of going back down and rebuilding back up again. And I had Auburn people arguing me, well, great teams don't have rebuilding years. I'm like, well, number one, we've done it every single time. Show me the year that we went from SEC, you know, tournament champion to SEC tournament to Final Four to Final Four. And the other thing is, yes, other teams do. Where was North Carolina in the Final Four last year, right? Where was Kansas in the Final Four last year? Where was Arizona in the Final Four last year?
Before they won, where was Florida? They hadn't been in the Final Four in 10 years or whatever before that. So I think don't argue with idiots on the internet. And B,
I always forget John's number 1 rule.
Don't argue with idiots, because sometimes people can't tell the difference. That's the important thing. And number 2 is that those people are deluded, right? This is Auburn basketball. That we had a great team last year. One of the, as we've discussed, probably the best team in program history last year. And we had a completely new roster this year. The idea that we're going to be magically back in the top 5 is crazy. Continuity matters in college basketball. It's not just the talent thing, it's continuity. Purdue has a bunch of the same guys. You know, Arizona has a bunch of the same guys. And that part matters in a big way. And it mattered to our team last year, was a great benefit to us, to that team Auburn had last year. And it's a detriment to this current team. The other thing I would say is this, like, last year, the SEC was up here, and Auburn and the other top SEC schools were as good as any teams in the country. The reality is the SEC is down here a little bit this year. Auburn has played, as Stephen Pearl pointed this out last night, Auburn's played basically like 7 top 25 teams, and we're 3-4. Okay. Yeah. And that's, and most really good teams in America would be lucky to be 3-4 against that stretch we played. People want to run down the teams we beat, and while hyping up these teams that we lost badly to, but the reality is, like, St. John's and NC State are good teams. Mm-hmm. Those are good basketball teams. And so nobody in the SEC right now is as good as that Purdue team we played yesterday. Florida isn't as good as that team. They're not as good as Arizona. They're not as good as Michigan. And the rest of the SEC is levels below that. Like, the best teams in the SEC other than Florida are roughly as good as St. John's or NC State. So I'm not scared of those teams. And I think if you think like, oh, Auburn's going to get killed all year because we lost to these really good teams, I'm going to tell you that what the SEC as a whole is, you know, has come down a notch. We're still going to have a great home court advantage. And when teams come into our arena, we're going to have an excellent chance to beat them. And a lot of the other SEC teams, we're going to be fine on the road again. So that's my view of where we are.
No, I agree. Well, 2 things. One, we've said on this program for years now that the day Bruce Pearl retired was a tremendous risk that Auburn could go right back down, because, you know, just a little bit of success, and a lot of Auburn people were starting to think we've always been a great basketball program, right? And they're like, oh, we should just reload. If Bruce leaves, we'll just bring in the next guy and keep going. I'm like, Bruce Pearl made our program what it is, okay? And when he's gone, it could be right back to Bar B level or something. The fact that we were able to have Stephen Pearl and have the roster that Bruce brought in, even though it has some deficiencies in the first year this time, is our best chance to stay relevant and to stay great. The other thing is, I think that part of it is distorted by what Alabama's doing. Alabama has been kind of reloading every year for the last few years. Mm-hmm. And you just got to admit, I mean, we don't like it. You may not like it, but you got to respect it, as Ric Flair would say, that Oates is a pretty dang good coach. and he's had them playing really well for several years in a row. And Alabama hasn't had quite the drop off, right? They've been able to keep players coming in, that there hasn't been that build up to one good team and then lose everybody. They haven't lost everybody in 1 year, kind of the way we did from last year to this year. And that's the main difference, I would argue. But even still, they only got to one Final Four and we got to two. So, So, but
I think that's fair. And I think the other side is like when you're reloading constantly, there's a lot of risk in that, right? And we've seen that with Arkansas in the past, or we see it with Kentucky this year, right? So those things, the reloading like that matters. So
that's a good point. Look at Kentucky, right? If you're going to tell me, oh, great programs never have years like this, well, what's Kentucky doing? So, and because their coach, and they ran their coach off. He didn't ride gloriously off into the sunset with all his trophies. They ran him off and went and got this guy, and are now kind of wishing that they hadn't. I think a little bit.
100%. And I think the last thing my point is I think if you took Bruce Pearl and Stephen Pearl into a room and gave him truth serum and asked them some questions about this, one of the things they would say is yeah, we overscheduled a little bit.
Yeah.
Last year's team, because here's the other thing. The current, Justin Ferguson had this in his column this morning. The current schedule for the 2025 team is harder than the non-conference schedule for the 24 team. It's harder than the road we played last year. So, and that team was way better. So the idea that it's margins harder, but that's how it is. So I think if you ask them truthfully, they would say, yeah, we probably should have taken two of those tough games, like maybe leave Purdue, and Michigan was this tournament game we couldn't do anything about, but maybe get rid of Arizona and one other tough game and play some more kind of medium toughness games. Because we're going to get plenty in the SEC, and we need more games where this team has a chance to gel and be competitive. That's
right. That's right. All right. We've got, they called it a get well game coming up against I had it on here. I know it's
Queens College.
I know, but we're playing Queens. Which is right down the street from where our new head coach is from, our football coach. So Queens and Brooklyn. That game is actually in Neville, but it's at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central on the SEC network on a Monday night. Yeah, what is up with that? So John's going to be up till 1 o'clock in the morning on December 29th to 30th.
I just want to say this on behalf of the East Coast Auburn fans. What are we doing here? Okay, we had this. The freaking Arizona game was at 10:30, I think. And then one of the other games we played was a 10 p.m. tip this season. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not having fun with it's tough to calm down and get to sleep after an intense basketball game. This will not be an intense basketball game. We will beat the living snot out of Queens, and we'll get the backups plenty of playing time. This will be on while we record the podcast. The next episode, this game will be starting. Oh
man! And are we going to reschedule, or are we going to do a watch?
We're going to play, because we're going to record, because it starts at 10. We'll be most of the way through.
That's true. That's true. So that's 9. Yeah, we'll be more punctual. Let's try to be punctual. And when I say that, I mean me, because I'm always the one that has to activate 15 different things on the computer. But
I was late this morning at something.
But that made me think of something. And now, it was funny that the game yesterday was on Peacock, and it was funny to see the reason why people had Peacock, right? And I'm sitting, all these people saying, well, I don't have Peacock, I don't want to pay to get it. And I'm sitting there thinking, after that game, I pay to get it, and I'm wishing I didn't. Because I do pay, but I had Peacock already. It's funny. There were all these different people, the Real Housewives. My wife, so and so is saying my wife has Peacock to watch the Housewives, or this, that, or the other. And I'm like, I had Peacock because they used. I first got it because they had IndyCar. Mm-hmm. They were Peacock was the spillover from NBC, and NBC had IndyCar. NBC doesn't have IndyCar anymore, so I actually tried to get rid of Peacock, and then I found out we got it for. I'd been paying for it for like a year, and then we got it for free for something. I don't know, But I'm trying to think. The only thing I've been watching on Peacock the last year or so would probably be Poker Face and Tulsa King, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like crime shows on there. The reason I've had it for the last.
And occasionally there'll be a movie that's streaming on there that goes to other places.
That's true.
So why was the game on Peacock? Because the Big Ten has an agreement with NBC to broadcast football and basketball games, and they have too much basketball content right now, and they can't fit it all on NBC proper. So a bunch of the Big Ten basketball is going to Peacock.
There you go. All right. What is happening with our bowl pick'em? And this is where it's one of the things that we run every year, where our patrons go to www.auwishbone.com. Our patrons get to go and select who's going to win all the bowl games. And as they go by, the scoreboard keeps lighting up. And of course, some people want to beat you, John. Some people want to beat me. That's pretty easy. Some people want to beat Jared. But of course, the big draw is to try to be competitive against the king, the master of the bowl pick'em, Santa Boris. He's got his little Santa hat on. His wife looks. And so Santa Boris he loves to taunt and get in the face of people that dare to challenge him. And he did win it a couple of years ago, and he kind of robbed last year. So how is it shaping up this year with you and me and Santa Boris and Jared and the whole crew?
We've got a great group. I think we have 58 people participating. So a lot of fun, a lot of good names I'll highlight. I don't often get to do this on this podcast, so I have to take advantage of this. I'm killing it in the bowl pick'em. At one point earlier this week, I was 5-0 and alone in first place in the bowl pick'em. Me, this guy.
Wow.
I am current, John.
There you go.
Please clap. Exactly. I am currently 8-3 and tied for first place with Christopher Thrash and Tony Perry. And Christopher Thrash's team name is What Time is the Auburn Game? And Tony Perry's team name is Comrade Tony, the AU Tiger. Those are pretty good. We have
the answer there is too late, but yeah.
Too late. There's a group at 7-4, and then a large group after that at kind of 6-5 and 5-6. Advan is in that group, and Boris is in that group as well. So there's some great team names in here. We got, again, there's a million bowl games coming up, so this is going to swing widely, I think, over the next week. Some pretty great names in here. Soundboard Fan Club, the Show Me Your TDs is back, right? The Moscow Mule by Bradley Blackman, I think, is a pretty good one. Your Van's team name is the Warsaw Pact, which we appreciate. David Garner's Peyton Thorne's Picks. Irony.
Yeah. if he ends with 6, that would be great.
That's it. Ryan McWilliams' team name is Clever Name Goes Here. That's pretty good.
Fair.
And Steve Houston, These Picks Were So Close. And then Todd Robinson in AUSSR Bowl Picks You.
All right.
And the return of the dulcet tones of Philip Marshall.
So I have thought about it. I wrestle with this. I'm gonna just. I have never said this on the air before. I've never even said it to you privately, John. But I'm never gonna do it. I don't think. But I have thought about doing some kind of a soundboard thing that could emulate the styles of some of the other Auburn folks, the other Auburn podcaster people, because we know, because they're so distinctive, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have to tell you the names, and I say this out of love. We listen to all of them. We appreciate all of them. We're not making fun, but it's interesting how all the other Auburn folks are so. I don't know what they do with us, but we're small potatoes compared to them. But these are people that make a living doing this. You and I just do this because we love our Auburn family and for fun.
And as we've always said, like, we would be doing this anyway, even if you weren't listening.
With no audience, right? This is just us having a conversation every week. But we have that one. We have the what liquor are you drinking while you watch the game on the air this week? And there's some that have a very distinct personality like that, and so I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I'm not sure what I could do or how it would go over, but it would be neat to have like a soundboard set of personalities or something. Maybe I'll just find some sound clips from those guys and have them appear on the show occasionally on the soundboard. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So Santa Boris asked, what would you like in your Auburn stocking for 2026? I said roster retention, a new helmet for my office, and tickets to Florida game. We're going to coming up in listener mail. We're gonna hear what at least one person replied, but I do want to. And Boris wants to repeat his offer that if you want to come sit on Santa Boris's lap, what would you ask Santa Boris for Christmas for your Auburn present this year? But I would point out that I have an Auburn helmet, but because now that we zoom in like this, all you can see is Boba Fett and Iron Man. You can't even. I put our new book up here.
You can see it.
So that on YouTube people could see it, and it's got a glare on part of it. You can't see half of it. I have to rethink this a little bit. Maybe I'll get rid of these books and move everything closer together. I've got my big Alpha Omega novel over here for when I do other shows. But my helmet over here is completely off camera. So let me bear with me for 1 second. See, you can see my Auburn helmet. You can see both books. So, but I generally prefer, and I think you prefer, we go a little tighter, right? So we'll just leave it at that. All right.
I have another wish for Santa Boris I'm going to bring up later in the show.
Oh, looking forward to it, buddy.
I think it'll be one that most or all listeners support.
Santa Boris was asked to have control of the soundboard for one episode, and I don't know if we should let him do that. That seems like a recipe for disaster.
Concerned.
Well, first we got to thank the patrons that keep this crazy show going. The AU Wishbone podcast, as it is, presented to you ad-free thanks to all our great patrons via patreon.com. Visit www.auwishbone.com. Click on the big orange famous button to become a patron. Our patrons include, and we always thank them personally like this, they include our new title sponsor, segment sponsor for Worst Coach in the World, Samuel Salvatore. We'll get the rest of it in a minute. Just a little taste. Plus, we have to thank Logan Chilton, who reminds us, what do we sacrifice to be an Auburn fan?
So what do I sacrifice?
Everything.
It's so true. Ben Spooner. Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. Mercer was sufficiently hated last week. It was fun to hate on Mercer. Earl Ricks, Phil M. Thor, now giving Van and John a break from the no sound clip since the dismal years are over, I hope. I certainly hope that is true. Richard Stevens, Steve Trawick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trawick, Willie Carden, Matt Flowers, Play It Again, Van. Oh, that would be the...
My head hurts, my feet stink, and I don't love Jesus.
Only but
Was that kind of morning, really was that kind of night.
That, speaking of Jimmy Buffett, that reminds me that did we talk about this before? That I've been, over the last couple of years reading a bunch of the Herman Wouk novels besides The Winds of War. And one of them is Don't Stop the Carnival. And it's about a guy that leaves New York. I think we talked about it before, right? He goes down to like one of the Caribbean islands to run a hotel and get out of cold, snowy New York City. And that book is so much fun that Jimmy Buffett did an album based on it, where all the songs are like different parts of the book. So that came up as I'd forgotten. I'd been listening to that a lot at the beginning of the year. So when I did my Apple recap of music that I've been listening to this year, it came up as one of my top albums. I'm like, oh yeah. So I just didn't know if people even know about it, because a Jimmy Buffett fan said to me, that's a really deep cut, man. I didn't even remember that album. I'm like, that's a great album. Do you ever heard it? You know what I'm talking
It's
about?
a great album. It's a very good album. Yes.
I mean,
Jimmy
it
Buffett.
tells the story of the book if you listen to the album all the way through. So yeah, it's called Don't Stop the Carnival. All right. And it kind of a slice of what the Caribbean was like in the time that Ian Fleming was down there writing the James Bond books too, which is the same time period, the 60s, 50s, 60s. All right. Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU fan at KSC, William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner. If Carroll Shelby could see Notre Dame fans, he'd say...
I don't speak Italian, but he ain't happy.
And by the way, that was a big point of contention over the last couple of days, that Notre Dame looked at what happened with James Madison and with Tulane. And we're going to talk about that coming up at the end in our Around the SEC and Around the World of College Football segment at the end. But I can see Notre Dame having a beef.
We'll talk about it. In reality, the Notre Dame point comparison was against Miami and Alabama.
Yes.
And they can't argue against those two teams. That's the two teams that Notre Dame was competing against.
And they both won. But so now the argument has shifted to, well, then it should have been Tulane and James Madison that got left out rather than Alabama and Miami. So we'll talk about it. But I just thought that's interesting how their argument has completely changed now because of circumstances. David WDE Salmons Esquire, Harry Zager, G Money, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson. You know what we are.
I mean, they just say that we're some dogs, honestly.
Again, a few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, we need like cards that we can carry in our wallet that says Auburn, the Auburn Sports, the authorities. I mean, if we were a little more ego-driven than we are, and we're not at all.
Writing this down.
He's writing it down. There you go. Boris is like, what? You haven't got one? Had one for years. If we, we should just rebrand the entire show the Auburn Authorities, I guess. I don't know. And again, this for folks that don't understand, this is not us saying this. This is what Auburn said on their whiteboard. Catherine England, no one fights like Gaston. War Eagle always. Mickey B. Durkin's defense should be called the Iron Curtain. Hey, I like that.
Iron Curtain, the Warsaw Pact. I see where we're going here.
The offense is the Warsaw Pact. The defense is the Iron Curtain. This is good. This is good stuff. Winston Body, defending fantasy F1 drivers and manufacturers champion Lane Middleton. Well, not anymore, Lane. I think we now have a new defending drivers and manufacturers champion, and that would be, I just said him, Mr. Kirshner. Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom, 2008-2009 Taliban Wrangler World Champion. H-Town Danny. I feel like Jared's done some of that. H-Town Danny, WDE Richie, Chris Hilton, Ben Bloodworth, Bob WDE Salmons, Auburn University Debate Team 74-75, and current Sleazy Shyster. Chris Hilton, by the way, one of our new, or I may be thinking about somebody else. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get the name wrong. Algo Rhythm and Blues, Rusty Owens, goodbye, Hugh. Goodbye, sadness. Luther and Kelly Ottaway, what is Father Christmas's wife's name? It's Merry Christmas. Yeah, you got it. John's not happy about that one. Todd Robinson, a.k.a. undisputed 2012 doubles badminton intramural champion. Yeah. Woody the Jag, the official 2024 Bowl Mania champion. Going to have a new one of those coming up soon. Chad McDowell, Auburn football's Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf. I don't hit it while we're on here.
Like an unwanted neighbor that comes over and visits.
From the Weather Channel, Reynolds Wolf.
Thunder snow.
That's right. Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter. A great day, comrades.
We sail into history.
I got it on there now.
All right.
Yes, I went there and got it. And I'll throw in
I must break you.
That's right. I know there's a lot of background sound in both of those. I cleaned them up as best I could. Timothy, Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan. Patrick Williams says that the AU wishbone.
Whether you like it or not,
Learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
Woo! Shannon Butson, Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em champion, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch 7 times North America hide and seek champ, wonders if Coach Golesh can get me into the Eastern European hide and seek games. I don't know. It's a good question. Tim Pittman, our own Santa Boris the Tiger. Charles Mooney, I rented a car in oh no. I rented a car in Prague, but the check engine light is always on. That's so bad. Oh my gosh.
Ow.
Yeah, you
can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
I don't think they were. David D, Auburn Blue, Dr. Crockham, Bill Weathers, Vegas lost 2 Michigan Monstars points diff champs. Okay. I don't speak whatever that is.
I don't speak Italian, but he ain't happy.
Walt is ready for actual offensive game plans because we all know the average Ruski doesn't take a dump, son, without a plan. That's another good Hunt for Red October line. I don't have that one on here. Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggerbird, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion. Tyler Ward, the 2025 War Ready Bracket champion. Mark Squire, cue the anthem, boys. You know who number 1. I guess I'm supposed to do the Auburn, number 1. There we go. Alex Wynn, Kenneth Britt Rain says the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
I doubt it has. AKA Auburn Dead for life. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, and finally Ruth and Darren Sutherland, Stephen Thompson, Ben Amos, Spanky, the 1991 Auburn University lacrosse team goal percentage leader at 66%, 2 goals on 3 shots. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, Royce Alvarez, college equestrian expert Auburn Elvis, you falling up, John Otsuki, Paul Bankson, MVP, captivating Kathy Bray.
Your love of a halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
Smoke weed every day.
Ben Riggis, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Brown, Siberian Tiger, Boris's cousin, I guess, the Slinko family, Daniel Witten, Tim Sauls, Jim McCrory. Oh, jeez. I will lick the toes of you. I will not lick the toes of Hugh. I do not lick those toes of woe. I am Tiger. I'm not a hoe. That's just that one just. New York Tiger knows Santa does not pay to park his sleigh because it's always on the house. Steve Bailey, CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz, Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Chris, and our one-time and anonymous donors. Thank you all so very much. Join their ranks. Come up with something clever, funny to say, or just put your name. We don't care. Go to www.auwishbone.com. That reminds me, John, something funny I saw on the YouTube yesterday. So, about 3 or 4 years ago, I did a White Rocket episode of the podcast episode talking about one of the greatest movies never made, the Stanley Kubrick Napoleon movie.
Yes.
Which they were going to make it at the end of the 60s, early 70s. And then the stupid Waterloo movie with Rod Steiger came out and bombed. And and then they were going to make it again with Steven Spielberg a couple of years ago. And the dang stupid Ridley Scott movie came out and bombed. So every 50 years they get ready to make this movie and somebody else puts one out first that tanks and Hollywood's like, nobody wants to see a Napoleon movie, and then they don't get to do it. So it's killing me.
I think nobody wants to see bad movies. A good Napoleon movie would kill it.
But that's not the lesson Hollywood learns is that they don't want that. And so what was funny was there's a new documentary up on YouTube, really nice professional documentary up on YouTube about the Stanley Kubrick Napoleon movie. And partway through it, I saw a graphic of Napoleon with Stanley Kubrick kind of merged in on it. I'm like, well, that looks familiar. Where have I seen that before? And as it panned up, it said the White Rocket Entertainment Network. They actually went and got my graphic off of my podcast.
Good gosh.
And used it in the documentary about Stanley Kubrick. I just thought that was funny. All right, so let's see. We are to guess the game, and we have a new guess the game from Jared. Are you ready?
It's back.
It's back. Boris, are you ready? Nope. Here we go.
Hello, Van, John, the rest of the AU Wishbone family. This is Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, here with Guess the Game number 160. Guess the Game 160 was sent in by Stephen Houston way back in the summertime, but now that football season's winding down, we are back with Guess the Game. So let's see what Stephen sent in.
Auburn's running out on the field, but they don't need to run out on the field yet. It's not over.
Yep. Is that the offense did not get the snap off.
Tigers win! Deservedly so.
All right, guys, I will see you in the hint file, which I don't think will change a single thing. I think you'll just listen to it again.
All right. The announcers were.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Oh, that was the Auburn announcing crew.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I was trying to think TV, but no, you're right. That was Rod. Yeah,
that was
Rod,
the radio.
Yes, my brain was just in completely the wrong place.
That was the Auburn radio announcing crew.
Auburn radio announcing crew. Yes.
I have a strong feeling I know what game it is. I'm sure you do too. What do you think?
I have a theory. Well, if Auburn was running out celebrating and they said they didn't get the snap off in time, if you're thinking what I'm thinking 2016 LSU.
Yeah, I'm the Les Miles game, right?
The loser leave town, Les Miles.
Loser leaves town, Les Miles game where LSU threw a touchdown pass at the end of the game, but the clock had expired, right?
Yeah. And by the way, I rewatched that a while back, and it was just insane that they were even in the position to do that. We had them beat. And I think, and let them come right down the field and throw the ball in the end zone with time still on the clock. I'm like, how is this even? How, we should have shut them down before they even crossed midfield. But yeah. All right. Well, let's hear our hint, which he says is just going to be the same thing again.
Okay, here we are in the hint file. If you want a second listen.
Auburn's running out on the field, but they don't need to run out on the field yet. It's not over.
Yep. Is that the offense did not get the snap off.
Tigers win! Deservedly so.
All right. I'll see you in the answer file.
I was going to say the only other game that came to my mind was the weird Outback Bowl where they kept running out on the field and celebrating. Yeah, but I think this is LSU 16.
I think so too.
All right, here comes the answer. We'll be off to a good start for our new.
Okay, Van, John, if you piece together that this is the infamous ending to Auburn versus LSU in 2016, then you win. I want to thank Stephen Houston for sending that in. If you'd like to be like Stephen and send in a play for Guess the Game, I can be reached at lots of different places, but it's all at Yard Sale Artist. X, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. Or you can email me at Jared, that's JARROD at theyardsaleartist.com. Until next time, Van, John, War Eagle.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Stephen. That was fun. It's great to be back doing Guess the Game now that we're in the off season, and I'm looking forward to it. And from this point forward, December 21st, 2025, I'm going to keep a record of our record in Guess the Game, how we're doing.
Nice.
And as always, I want to know if you, the listeners, got it or didn't get it.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Boris was just pointing out that while he does not have a card that says the authorities on it, he is an honorary Avenger. So he has a card signed by William Clinton, president. So he's been an Avenger for a while. So there you go. All right, let's see what else is coming up. We got Guess the Game out of the way. Oh, of course. And there you put the number in. That's good. Coming up, we have a really cool around the SEC and bowls plus listener questions. But first, it's our weekly look at the most dastardly, knuckleheadedly, idiotic, worst coaches in the world. Sometimes a struggle. And this is brought to you by title sponsor Samuel Salvatore, the great Samuel Salvatore. And I think there's really only one coach that goes in there this week. If Samuel sent me something, I haven't seen it yet, but I think he would agree that we're going to go with Brent Venables of Oklahoma, because Brent Venables had a 17-point lead over the Evil Empire
at home in a playoff game at night.
Oh, and they absolutely blew it. They gave up 17 points before halftime. Yeah, they actually gave up the entire lead right before the half with a pick six, a field goal, and a regular touchdown. And then in the second half, the beating then commenced, and they just got pounded by Alabama, only scoring one other touchdown the rest of the game. They lost, 34? But it was like 34-7.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama outscored them 34-7. It looked like something Alabama would do to Georgia, which I don't usually complain about. I don't like either one of them winning, but it is always entertaining to see Alabama doing that to Georgia. But it was just annoying to see Alabama do it to Oklahoma. And here's the background on that really quickly. The background story to that was that I have a friend who was an Oklahoma fan, and he was texting David Wright and me, the three of us, and I was saying how I'm still haven't forgiven Oklahoma. They're cheaters. I said, this is basically cheaters versus Satan. And how do you pick between cheaters and Satan, right? I know it's tough, but I said this would go a long way toward getting you a little bit of forgiveness and a little redemption if you could go out there and do the Lord's work and take down Alabama, get them out of the playoffs. I said this would go a long way. It wouldn't clear the slate, but it would go a long way. After the game, I texted him, I still hate you.
You said the message out there, and it's the 100% the truth, Van. We know the rule, and that is you got to get that wooden stake all the way into the heart,
all the way through.
Not a glancing blow, not a little holy water on him. You got to get that stake all the way in Alabama's heart to kill them. And Alabama was down 17-0, and Oklahoma's dancing around like they won the Super Bowl, and they were like, we don't need no freaking stake. And here's what happened.
Go to the stake. You got to drive the stake through the heart. You can't let that evil rise from the crypt again. And they did. They're going to learn. They learned the hard way. Georgia's been learning for years. We know how to handle Alabama.
That's right.
That's why we beat them. I keep, Alabama fans come at me. I'm like, we beat you more consistently than anybody.
That's right.
Than anybody. Because we know you drive the stake through that heart, through that evil black heart, and out the bottom of the casket. Nail them down. You have to.
My only other takeaway from that game was just a waste of an incredible crowd and energy in that stadium.
Yes. Well, we know all about that too, unfortunately. We know all about that too. Brent Venables, who looked exactly like DeBoer. They look like clones right down to their clothing and everything. You are this week's worst coach in the world.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
And for newer listeners that don't know, that's my daughter about 12 years ago. She's about to go off to college, but that's how she sounded back around 2013 or so. Yes. All right. What's in our mailbag?
All right, before we get to the mailbag, I just want to say we had a lot of positive reaction online to our discussion of the Auburn football schedule in 2026. I thought that was really good last week, and people seem to really enjoy it.
Well, I haven't looked at the numbers, but when I got up Monday morning, that clip had like 900 downloads or something. It really blew up. I was surprised. I thought the one where we were talking about Alabama was going to blow up because they always get, but it was the schedule one. So that was interesting.
It was, because I think we have a good perspective about past and future Auburn schedules. A lot of people don't have, I think. So. All right. So our email this week is a response to the Santa Boris request from frequent emailer Bill Miner, who says, "Hey guys, before I give my Santa Boris list, I did wonder what I need to leave out for Santa Boris as a thank you. Is it milk and cookies like for Santa Claus? Is it Milo's sweet tea and Raising Cane's chicken?" What's the answer?
He likes Guthrie's chicken and French fries and some Toomer's lemonade. He'll accept Milo's sweet tea, and then and the cookies are great. Yeah.
Good call. Good question by Bill there. And then he says his request for Santa Boris to put under the tree is a road win in basketball against the Gators on January 24th.
Oh man. I mean, Bruce never did beat him there, did he?
No.
I don't think he ever did.
He says, speaking of which, say our head coaches since Pat Dye were Santa Claus, what would you leave out for Santa Dye, Santa Bowden, Santa Gus as a thank you? Merry Christmas to all, Santa Boris included, Bill.
Santa Boris, thanks you. For Santa Dye, I'd leave him a new pair of pants that hasn't been in the lake. For Santa Bowden, maybe some platform shoes like Kiss used to wear.
Not bad.
And what was the other one?
Well, Santa Gus. Santa Gus.
Oh, Santa Gus. I leave him a
tackle.
Yeah, and a gift card for Waffle House.
There you go. That's it.
Oh, this was great. That reminded me, by the way. There was this British guy that tweeted. He said, I'm visiting the U.S. for the first time. And he said, I was excited to visit Waffle House. But he said, I was there for like half an hour just having hash browns and coffee. And it was nice, quiet evening. And I was very, very disappointed. And he said, all of a sudden, these two women, I hear this yell, something screaming out, don't text me, bleep, bleep, you bleep, bleep. And they start cussing. And it says, next thing you know, one woman throws the other one on the counter and is hitting her with the napkin holder. And he's like, 5 stars, excellent review. This is what I came for. I loved it.
Exporting our culture.
There you go.
All right. Let's go around the SEC.
Oh, that's the only question we had. Well, we are like a day and a half early, so I appreciate having
questions. We're so early,
right?
So
I appreciate that we have any. We do not currently have an Around the SEC song because the one we used to use was the B-52s roam around the world, and it is not usable on YouTube. So we would get smacked down with copyright violations every time. So this is the theme song less. In fact, some of the things I've played on the soundboard tonight might have the exact same thing, but you know,
someone knows. God knows.
But here we go. Let's take a trip around the SEC. So what's going on with Michigan? Enlighten us into that situation.
So they're in the middle of their coaching search, obviously, as we discussed last week. They really wanted DeBoer, so they wanted Alabama to lose to Oklahoma. Another reason to be mad at, the Oklahoma coach, because if Alabama had lost, I think there's a real chance DeBoer goes to Michigan. As we said last week, I think 2 weeks ago, I think if Alabama had lost to Auburn and Jordan Hare, they wouldn't even be in the playoff, and I think he might have gone to Penn State. So they did want Dillingham. There was, they've kind of both denied there was clearly some behind the scenes discussion there. Dillingham just signed a big extension. So now they're on to kind of plan C, D, E. We'll see what happens.
If DeBoer had gone to Michigan or Penn State, I was kind of rooting for that, not because I want them to hire a better coach, but just because chaos is fun with Alabama.
Yes.
Using the Bill Curry / Dennis Francione escape clause. but which is, you people are crazy. I'm going somewhere that's slightly less crazy. But who would Alabama look at? That to me is the burning question.
Well, so let's kick this can down the road. Let's say Alabama loses in the next round of the playoff. And then,
good Lord's ears.
Amen. And then next year they don't make the playoff. Okay. And the heat just intensifies, right? It goes to 11.
Yes.
DeBoer looks around, maybe a job he wants on the West Coast opens, right? Southern Cal or whatever. He goes there. What if Alabama steals Lane Kiffin after 1 year at LSU and tells LSU, like, this is where you are. This is your place. We're taking your coach, and we go through the whole stupid Lane Kiffin drama again. And he leaves and goes to Alabama, and just like and then Ole Miss fans are just laughing, right?
I suggested this though, and people are like, Alabama doesn't want him. There's some Alabama fans that want him, but Alabama doesn't want him. So
understood. Again, we talked a lot about Ole Miss and Kiffin and why he wasn't allowed to coach in the playoff games. Remember how his time at Alabama ended. He was the offensive coordinator for a team in the playoffs, and after he had accepted the FIU job, and he coached this was back when it was only a 4-team playoff. He coached the round of 4 playoff and was so distracted that in between that game and the title game, Saban fired him basically and said, we'll play that game without you. Just go. And because he could not do that job effectively while coaching, he couldn't do the FIU job and the offensive coordinator job in a way that was fair to both sides. So that is the taste in the Alabama administration's mouth about Kiffin and what kind of person he is. But again, we just saw this with Penn State. We're seeing it with Michigan. We saw it with LSU and Florida. Who are they going to get? They all are they're going to say, you're going to, like, when this day comes, they're going to say, we're going to get Saban back out of retirement to do it. And he's not going to do that. So
no. So that's what I'm saying is, I don't know. I think if Alabama had to go on a coaching search now or in the next week or two, it would just reopen the whole thing, because
it would. They think we could get Kirby Smart or Dan Lanning.
Yeah, they think we can get anybody we want, and then it's just going to start the whole dominoes, the whole musical chairs again, which is. And if they hired somebody that just got hired, like you said, Lane Kiffin or something, that would be absolutely just. That wouldn't be 11. That'd be 111 over the top insanity.
Yes. So,
I root for chaos. We are Auburn. That's what we do. So we talked about Alabama.
Wait, I want to leave this nugget here. There is still the Michigan job is still open.
Yeah.
There's still a chance they're dilly-dallying around talking to other people when Alabama loses in the next round. They could still hire DeBoer this year. That could still happen.
It could still happen, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, the heat on him in Alabama has gone way down after they win this game, but that's right. That's today.
Where do you think? How do you think things stood when it was 17-0 in like the first quarter?
Oh, they were like, run him out of here.
I kind of want to
remember if Oklahoma had beaten them 34-7 or something.
Yes. He wouldn't have even gone back to Tuscaloosa. He'd have gone straight from Norman to Ann Arbor or something.
That's right.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yep. Applied for asylum. Ahead of the bricks. Ahead of those bricks flying. Those flying bricks would have been right on his tail. Oh, it would have been something. He's not doing great there. And if they lose in the next game, who do they play in the next game?
We're going to talk about it in a minute.
Okay. Well, if they lose the next game, I mean, I like Alabama having a guy who loses 2, 3, 4 games a year. I got no problem with that. I want him to stay as long as, I mean, I don't like,
this is reality. They've been living on another planet because they had the best coach in college football history the last 25 years. He's gone. Now they're back in the real world with the rest of us. So,
yeah. And like came very close to losing to our zombie team in the last game. So, all right, we talked about Alabama, Oklahoma plenty. Miami 10, A&M 3 in a game that was 0-0 at halftime, wasn't it? I believe at halftime it was 0-0 still.
Great, but this was a great defensive game. 2 really good defenses. in like really windy conditions made the kicking hard.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of this game. Thought it was really good.
Oh, I knew you liked this game. It's a defensive slugfest, but it was a very well. The offenses just couldn't get anything done, not because they were bad, but just because the defenses were both playing really, really good. And like you said, the special team kind of got taken out of the equation a little bit. Didn't leave a whole lot left.
I mean, Miami had that one great punt return by that one guy, and he got tackled by the back of his heel. If they hadn't got him, that would have been the only touchdown. But
yeah. So A&M, who was favored and was at home. And I got to be honest with you, I don't like Miami. I haven't liked Miami since 1983, but I don't hate seeing A&M humbled a little bit. They haven't won anything in a long time.
And while we're on the subject of A&M, the least successful 11-win season in college football history. Okay, they won 11 games. They didn't beat their rival. They didn't win the conference. They didn't win the freaking division, and they lost at home in a playoff game. So
didn't even get to play in the championship game.
Yeah. So what did you accomplish exactly?
Yeah. And they weren't. You'd think they were on probation.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the 93, except they're like if the 93 Auburn team also lost to Alabama. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, this one had a special place in my heart. Ole Miss Tulane. I tweeted out before the game. I said a month ago, I would have totally been cheering for Tulane in this game, but I said instead, because of the way everything's played out on both teams, right? Because Ole Miss's coach left them, and I feel some sympathy for Ole Miss, and at the same time, Tulane's coach is a big jerk that I'm so glad we didn't hire, and he's still there trying to run Tulane while also trying to run Florida. I was 100% for Ole Miss, and I wanted Ole Miss to just beat their tails in, and they did, 41-10, and they were lucky to get 10. So I loved this game so much. This was my happiest moment of the day yesterday watching football.
It was also, it was a great.
Other than the first quarter, that was Friday. Other than the first quarter of Oklahoma.
That was a happy moment, a fleeting moment in time. But these two teams played the regular season, and it wasn't a lot different than that. And I think the coaching thing kind of distracted people from that part too. Like Ole Miss is just better. I think people didn't know how Ole Miss was going to show up, right? Yeah. After everything they've been through, but they did a good job.
The question to me was, would their offense still work without Kiffin there doing whatever it is he does? Yeah. And it seemed like it worked pretty good. So I just
it wasn't all him.
I just didn't understand the matchups. I mean, did they just seed the teams blindly and then go, oh, look, Ole Miss has a rematch with Tulane. Oh, Miami has a rematch with Texas A&M. It just seems like they could have tweaked it just a slight bit and gotten some better or different games than. I mean, it doesn't it seem like the first round it should have been like Tulane and James Madison maybe or something, or I don't know. I guess you want to get them both eliminated early, but and you wouldn't have Texas A&M play Ole Miss, but maybe Oregon, Texas A&M, and Miami Ole Miss would have been a better. I don't know.
I mean, but I agree the rematch. I mean, again, there was 2 rematches in the first round, which nobody wants to see.
Yeah, so. Right. It just seemed weird. All right, and then Oregon was pounding James Madison. James Madison scored a little bit late to make it a little more respectable, but it was 51-34. It was like 40-something to 7. Yeah,
no. Oregon put the second string defense in, and James Madison scored some points on them in the second half. But
yeah. So what do we know about? Oh, I didn't realize that James Madison is where Curt Cignetti came from before he went to Indiana. So
yes, and the best players on Indiana came from James Madison.
So he built 2 teams that were currently in the playoffs this year. That's pretty impressive. So what do we think is the future of James Madison after this? Obviously, Oregon's going on to play in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, James Madison's coach went to UCLA, the guy that got him here. They just hired Billy Napier as the next James Madison coach. So I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But I also know they have the infrastructure. They're going to have good players. I think they'll be fine.
Well, he's back to his level. He's back to where he seems to do well. So, all right, coming up, New Year's Eve, Miami versus Ohio State. That could be interesting. That's a matchup that we don't. To me, that's a matchup that would have been a big game anytime the last 30 years or more.
And they had when the playoff was two teams, they had an incredibly memorable game, 25 years ago. So looking forward to that. I think that'll be a good game.
Oh, that's right. They did have that big game. I can't remember what year. Was that 2002?
2001, 2002, somewhere in there, yeah.
I think Miami won in 2001, and then they played Ohio State in 2002, and Ohio State won. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, yeah, it's been a while, though. It's been a little while, so it's kind of cool to see those teams again. All right. And then New Year's Day, Alabama, Indiana. Who would have ever thought we would have Alabama playing Indiana and Indiana be a prohibitive favorite in football, not basketball?
All right, two things. One, this is my wish for Santa Boris. I want Indiana to beat Alabama. And number two, I'm calling it right now. It's going to happen. Indiana is going to beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl on national TV on January 1st. They are a better football team, and they're a better coached football team. They're better at quarterback, and I think there's only one or two positions where you'd say Alabama's better than them. And on the lines of scrimmage, Indiana's going to be fine. And Alabama is very similar to Ohio State, but I think not quite as good as Ohio State. They're a passing team. They can't run the ball well. So very good defense. And Indiana just shut that team down completely in the Big Ten title game. So I feel very good that they're going to be able to do the same thing to Alabama. I think Indiana's quarterback is way better than Alabama's quarterback. And I think they are going to beat Alabama, and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of that. Because for our listeners who only watch SEC games or only watch Auburn games, you're probably like, what the heck is he talking about Indiana? They're for real. And Cignetti is an excellent coach. They are a for real team, especially on the lines of scrimmage. They are good.
Yeah, well, we saw that when they beat Ohio State.
Yep.
That was kind of the.
And they went into Oregon, where James Madison got annihilated, and beat that Oregon team in Oregon. So.
Yes, that's right. So, speaking of whom, they play Texas Tech. That should be an interesting matchup.
Really fun.
Texas Tech is, again, one of those teams like James Madison that kind of came out of nowhere. You're like, how'd they get in the playoffs? But they had a great year.
They're the team that had never even won their conference, the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a bunch of donors step up, and they spent a ton of money, and they have a for real defense and a couple of other positions they're much better at. Their defensive line is the real deal. They could as good as anybody in this playoff. So I think they're going to give Oregon a game.
And then finally, Ole Miss and Georgia. That's another rematch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And is that the one game Ole Miss lost?
Yeah, Georgia beat them. Last year, Ole Miss beat Georgia. This year, Georgia beat Ole Miss. So that'll be a good game. And I think, it's Kirby Smart and his staff against the guy with one head coaching game under his belt. So I like Georgia.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see. What else do we have coming up? Bowl games to watch. We have bowl games every day but Christmas, although not today, Sunday, because it's NFL day, unfortunately. But starting Monday, tomorrow.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there are bowl games. And then Friday, there are bowl games. And then Saturday, there are a bunch of bowl games, which I think some really good ones on Saturday, the 27th. Clemson, Penn State, which, again, people would have said that was a playoff game 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
BYU, Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tarts Bowl is actually probably the best game of the week. That's a two really good teams.
With bonus Pop-Tarts, so yeah.
With Pop-Tarts. And then I know the game Van's looking forward to a lot. Missouri, Virginia is Saturday night on ABC. And LSU, Houston is the late game on ESPN.
It is late. Wow, 9:15 Eastern. Okay. All right. So, our next round of playoffs starts December 31st. But I see that they learned the lesson of a couple of years ago. Don't put all the playoff games on New Year's Eve. They're only doing one.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that they're doing an experiment this year. They have one game on the night before, and then 3 on the Saturday or whatever, right? Or the big.
Well, and it's because it's it's the first is like a Thursday, so
okay,
it's like everybody's going to be off. It's not a Sunday where they're competing with NFL games. It's a great day to have college football all day long, as we've said.
Heck yeah, Chambers. Just like the good old days. And they're back to being called bowl games, right? They're like, there'll be the sugar and the.
Well, yeah, because they're off campuses and they're into these neutral site games.
So they're just calling them.
It's the Fiesta Bowl and the whatever Cotton Bowl. I don't even. I'm not paying attention because to me these are the next round playoff matchups, and I don't. But I know Alabama and Indiana are playing in the Rose Bowl, so that'll be the mid-afternoon, late afternoon New Year's Day game.
Imagine if when Auburn was in the Final Four with Florida last year, they called it the Nokia Sugar Final Four Bowl matchup basketball game. It's the same kind of thing. It's just it's the Final Four.
My only other takeaway from the playoff games this week is, man, I cannot wait until the day in the future when there is a playoff game hosted at Jordan-Hare. That is going to be the best atmosphere ever, and that other team is not going to know what hit them. We're going to get some team, some other part of the country, and they are just going to wilt under that atmosphere.
Oh, God, I hope so. All right, let's go ahead and predict now. When the day comes that Auburn is in the playoffs again, hopefully in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, but we'll see. Will our first playoff game be a road game or a home game?
A home game.
Oh, man. Oh.
But that means we were not in the top 4 seeds, right? Who get buys. I think we'll be in as a wild card.
Right.
We'll
2-loss team. Lose
That's it.
to Alabama, lose to Georgia or something, or
Whatever.
whoever, and then we'll get in and we'll get somebody like James
Notre
Madison.
Dame.
Oh, well, we got them coming up anyway.
I know, but like them in a playoff game would be good. I'm love, great. Give me Southern Cal in a playoff game in Jordan-Hare. Bring it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so good. All right, I think that's a good place to leave it. Get ready for some great football the next few days. John and I'll be back, I guess, at our usual time Monday week to talk about it. That'll be the
29th,
29th, 30th, something or somewhere in there.
Be the 29th, and would be the second half during the Queens Auburn basketball game. So
yeah, Monday the 29th during the Auburn Queens basketball game. All right, our time is up. We thank you for yours, War Eagle John.
War Eagle, man.